everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Celestial Citadel Superheroes.
It's been forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, been a while. Been a while. First episode of 2025.
Yep.
Get it.
Everything's getting banned now. People are getting even more offended than ever. The woke mind virus is destroying our country. I can't believe I... Sorry about that. That was an android who started the fucking recording for me. Let me just drag him away real quick. Alright, there we go. Yeah, sorry. I've been trying to get rid of these stupid-ass androids that have been showing up and taking hero spots. For those of you who don't know, the main reason why it's been a while since we've done an episode of this is for two big reasons. One, some supervillains have been basically trying to replace multiple different heroes with androids. And two, well, actually, that's really the only reason. We've just kind of been dealing with that. And it's led to me thinking about something. How each different facet of the superhero community actually affects the world around us. Because, you know, it's kind of weird when you think about it, because we all represent three different facets of the superhero community. I'm more of a traditional superhero. You know, I used to wear tights, and I was basically Frozone before Disney stole the idea from me. And, you know, the detective is basically like a Batman noir-style character. And, of course, you got Dr. Rain over here, who's pretty much our universe's equivalent to Dr. Fate or Dr. Strange. So, yeah, I was really just wondering, like, we all affect the community in multiple different ways, but how has our effect as superheroes sort of changed the world in general, changed the world, or changed society as a whole?
Man.
Unfortunately, not very much.
I can say, as a professor in the Citadel now, teaching new magic-based superheroes, I can say, that these next 4 years will be some of the craziest we've ever experienced.
Yeah, true.
Kind of like 2016 through 2020.
True. Although, to be honest, I do still feel like superheroes as a whole have, like, you know, affected how people view the world and how we as individuals are affecting the world, or I guess life in general. Like, for example, because, like, since I'm a more traditional superhero, I've noticed that law enforcement has definitely had to change up quite a lot in order to more or less, in order to basically adjust to how things are done now. Because from what I remember, like, before superheroes were a big thing, there were just a lot, and I mean a lot, of corrupt motherfuckers in the, you know, in law enforcement. And there still are. I'm not saying there aren't any, but there are definitely, like, a lot of motherfuckers in law enforcement who had to sort of change, because if not, then they'd get exposed almost instantly. You know, like, that's a huge change that sort of happened. And it led to a lot of law enforcement more or less going just completely apeshit on superheroes, because we were actually holding a lot of them accountable. You know, it was something that a lot of people didn't really like. Not only that, but because of the technology many vigilante heroes have, you know, definitely dealt with or definitely done, it has led to many people in the military and law enforcement as well basically striving to do whatever they can to, you know, to get that same level of, you know, technology overall. Something that that's something a lot of people don't really talk about. If it wasn't for superheroes showing up, a lot of the technology we have, hell, the entire Citadel probably wouldn't even exist, because, you know, we kind of made this shit happen. And like, you know, Mr. Detective, I'm sure you might have a story or two of how law enforcement changed as you started basically being the Rorschach of the goddamn, you know, industry.
Minus the homophobia and the racism and the misogyny. At least, like, I hope the misogyny.
Yeah. Rorschach really was a son of a bitch, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but, like, what, like, you say you have, like, things haven't changed that much, but, like, what changes have you seen? Like, do you have any interesting stories of, like, you know, things that are very different now compared to when you started off being a detective?
Just, it's a lot easier to hold those in power accountable now.
Yeah.
And so, how old are you again, Detective? 25, going on 26?
30.
30.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he looks a lot younger than he actually is.
Weird.
Yeah. Yeah, bet you can't say the same about me.
I mean, you do look like when I think of an old man or like an old wizard character, you do fit the stereotype in some cases, minus the giant like staff.
Hey, I'm not supposed to look that old.
Yeah. Speaking of which, how old are you exactly?
Physically, I am 30 years old. It's, but I was born on July 18th, 1860.
Wait, come again?
I was born during the latter years of the American Civil War. So I've lived through a lot of the stuff that the detective talked about, and the little vigilante operations. You can pretty much thank me for that. I was the one who started that.
So you were like one of the first vigilantes.
I was one of the first guys. I was one of the first people to recognize that there was a problem. Yeah, because them white folk at the time. Oh my God, they were a lot worse than you, man. They would call you. They would say you look like under the bed or something. Yeah, Iceman.
Okay, I'm not that dark, but I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
They're the worst.
I'm a nice milk chocolate, okay?
Yeah, yeah. And still, even the ones who are anti-slavery. Yeah. I wouldn't call them good.
Were you an abolitionist at the time?
I was born during the latter years of the Civil War, just as slavery was beginning to end. So back then, I would have seen everything fizzle out.
Okay, so you have a lot of. Oh yeah, so you've basically seen every societal change, really.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I was around when stuff was fizzling out. So just as the last bit of slaves were being freed, being granted their freedom.
We went and replaced history of slavery with just simple prejudice.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it prejudice, my guy.
Well, the prejudice was already there.
Well, you weren't there, man. Because, like I said, you were 30 years old, and I'm fucking 165.
Damn.
Yeah, you sound like a 16-year-old with jaundice.
Why jaundice specifically? Like, I understand the 16-year-old bit. We all sound very young, but jaundice? Out of all the things you could have thought of.
I mean, jaundice isn't even what you're thinking about, Detective. So,
no, it is.
So I'm going to need you to do me a favor. Tell me what jaundice is. Don't look it up.
Yeah, you can hear him. You can hear him typing on his laptop. Yeah, even though we're all in the Citadel, we're all in our own individual offices because, robots, and we're not allowed to leave.
Yeah. I'm a fucking professor. I need to teach
It
classes.
It fucks with your pigmentation and turns your skin yellow.
So you're calling me an Asian?
No, I mean, like, it literally turns your skin like. No, not. I'm not trying to be
Southeast Asian.
Oh, shut the fuck.
Asian.
No, if you were
Rice
Southeast
farmer.
Asian, you'd be tan. No, I mean, like, it turns your fucking skin like a yellow green. Actually,
Asians tan differently.
shut the fuck up.
So Korean.
No, it turns you yellow green, and it
My guy, I'm wired in
turns
a
your pee
saltine
dark.
cracker. I'm wired in a saltine cracker.
It also turns your pee dark.
Huh.
And
Yeah. Oh, that is quite nasty.
Yeah, it does a bunch of shit. It's nasty.
Jesus Christ. Just the fact that you have to say it turns, so you're calling me Asian. Like, that got me. Yeah. Celestial
Not-
Citadel podcast. We make race jokes from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just like the U.S. military.
Speaking of the military, that's something I've also noticed has changed a lot. Like the way the military is like a lot like striving for peace. Like, here's something I didn't actually know. So there's this fun story that my grandfather told me a while ago about this team of soldiers who were basically like superheroes in it of themselves, and he was basically explaining that this team of soldiers would go out of their way to completely just destroy anyone in their path. But the thing is that unlike many other like soldiers and armies and militaries and whatnot, these guys would go out of their way specifically to avoid hurting civilians, and it would actually lead to tons of civilians defecting to trying to help out these soldiers, when of course at the time, I can't remember exactly which war this was. I think it was Vietnam or something. But at the time,
Wait, I
you
might
know,
have known about this.
yeah, but at the time, like, many of the soldiers were tasked with taking on and like literally getting rid of as many civilians as possible. My grandfather and his entire platoon, they were like, fuck that, we're gonna use our actual fucking superpowers to do superhero shit, and we're gonna try and beat the shit out of guys who are actually evil. Like, these soldiers, every night, not every night or so, but like for a while, like when they weren't out in the battlefields, they'd leave their military bases and they would actually stop like drug lords and like kingpins and whatnot. Like, they were like, that's something, and apparently the military wanted to put a stop to this, but they couldn't figure out specifically who was doing it. And apparently this was like the origin of secret identities, as in actual military individuals who had like actual hero complexes. They would wear masks and have costumes, go into these other countries. In fact, I think this still goes on to this day in like the Middle East, where they would go out and they would actually try and stop legitimate monsters. And since the military, and since, like, you know, our governments are there specifically to win wars, they're not here to save people. Yeah, the irony in that is ridiculous. It would lead
It's
to
not even
them.
irony. It's just what they literally do.
Why do I feel like I know your grandpa?
Do you know? Okay, do you know?
What's his name? Michael.
Yes. Yes. Let's
Okay.
not say the last name.
It's yeah, but I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. Name dropping's rude.
Yeah. Yeah, but like, let's not say the last name, but his superhero
Okay.
name that he went by was, well, the Eternal Ice. You ever met a guy by that name?
Yeah, I think we met. Yeah, in North Vietnam.
Okay. Let me guess. It was a monstrous individual, a crime lord who had stolen a magical amulet and was using it to grow elephant grass specifically around villages he wanted to fully control, right?
I don't believe he was doing it for that reason.
I'm not even paying attention to the conversation. I'm watching an ASMR video about cake making.
Of course you are.
It's delicious.
Oh, I came across an ASMR video about some girl begging her boyfriend not to leave him.
How the fuck is that an ASMR video? Isn't that supposed
It's a role play.
Yeah, but like ASMR is
It
supposed
wasn't a role play.
It was a role play.
Yeah, but
No,
ASMR is supposed to.
I found on Reddit. It was not a role play.
But ASMR is supposed to be relaxing. How is like a girl begging her boyfriend not to leave relaxing?
Fucking crazy people.
No clue, man. Yeah. And as someone who's lived for a long time, I could tell you I'm one of the craziest motherfuckers you're gonna meet.
Well, yeah, I can tell that, considering the fact you filled the
You're not
detectives.
Dracula, Flo.
No, man. And I can tell you I've never met Dracula. Somebody else killed him.
No, Dracula No, Dracula Flow.
He's an
You aren't
old
that
man. He's an old man that basically raps on online, and he says like the sickest shit. And it's like old school rap, not like he's not like actually doing like a whole beat or anything like that. He's got no music behind it, but it's like, you know, when people are like, it almost sounds like they're close to talking. That's basically what it is.
Sure. Shorty started dating a demon. Deal with it.
Sounds like her problem. Yeah, that type of stuff.
Yeah, I think I've heard that. I'll have to look that up later.
He's hilarious. I love him.
He's funny, but he's also really fucking cool. That's like a perfect mixture.
Yeah, I think I know. Yeah, I know where Michael is. Yeah, his division is now defunct. I believe it was called the 16th New Ghost Division.
Yeah, that's what they called. Yeah, that's the official military name.
Yeah, I was with them.
You were with them during that time. Like you would go out and do that.
Yeah, man.
I mean, you're old, so
what that guy did with that. I'll tell you what this guy did with that. Was doing with that amulet.
Oh boy.
He wasn't really making elephant grass per se. He was trying to make big green tentacles.
Really?
Yeah. And you could probably guess what he was going to do with those tentacles.
Let me guess. He was going to take advantage. That's disgusting.
Yeah. And
He was trying to take advantage of Japanese teenagers.
Tentacle hentai before that was even a thing.
Gross.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's probably something he was trying to do with them, but like my grandfather told me specifically that the things that guy was actively going out of his way to do was he was trying to grow elephant grass so he could choke out like and actually basically kill people in villages who wouldn't give over control to him. Because there's one thing I know about the Viet Cong, mainly because my granddad wouldn't shut the hell up about it, was that, you know, taking territory was almost impossible because the individual villages had to agree to give up the territory to you. If they didn't do that shit, then, well, your ass was grass. At least that's from what he told me. So knowing all of that, I highly doubt that this guy was only growing the elephant grass for that situation. In fact, I'm pretty sure he grew the elephant grass mainly just for the girls he kidnapped.
Gross.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I remember having to tell him that's not how that works. Elephant grass is used to wall off villages and to keep them in place.
Yeah, and he was basically using these giant walls of elephant grass to crush entire villages he didn't have control over. And my grandfather went into pretty big detail about how you guys took him down. He said that this was before you were, you know, turning people into sand happy. Like he explained that the way you guys would take these people down was by actively using as much artillery as possible. Like he said he, you know, almost froze him alive. And well, apparently this was when you know, decided to completely and utterly break his entire fucking body, all the bones in his body. At least that's what, you know, my grandfather said.
So what you're saying is you knew about me.
I guess. I guess he just didn't call you Dr. Rain. He used your superhero name at the time because again, I think you mentioned this before, but has your superhero name always been Dr. Rain?
Not always. I went through a few names over the years.
Can you list off a few of them? Because I might recognize the one my grandfather did.
Back during the 50s, when I was doing anti-corruption stuff, they called me the Hunter.
The Hunter. Yeah, I recognize. Yeah, that's got to be the name. Yeah. The Hunter. That's what my granddad called you too.
Yeah. Back then, they also called me the Arbiter.
The Arbiter. That's actually a cooler name than the Hunter.
Yeah.
And my grandfather wanted to call himself the Equalizer when he got older, but I told him that I don't think Denzel Washington. Really? Yeah, he said he wanted to call himself the Equalizer and wanted to get back into vigilantism as an old guy.
I was the Equalizer.
You're not black.
No, you weren't.
That's what the other guys called me back then.
Really?
But you're not Vin Diesel.
I thought the Equalizer was Denzel Washington.
I forgot. Sorry.
Am I bald and super tan?
No.
I'm sure as hell not black either. So.
Are you trying to use a soundboard, detective?
No, that was.
Sorry, my
was the doctor's
soundboard's
phone.
malfunctioning. Muting mic.
That was his phone.
That was his. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Ugh, sweet Jesus. Okay. Well, I was trying to talk about how the superhero community has sort of affected society, but it seems like society has only been affected very minusculely, to be honest.
People are fighting back already, so they're not just sitting there and taking it.
Hey guys, I will have to take a break for a second.
Well, where the hell you going?
And to take care of some shit, my wife needs me.
Oh boy, his wife needs him. I wonder what that could mean. Well, detective, do you have any fun stories of like cases you had to solve or anything like that?
Nothing this week.
Man, I feel like we're getting into a bit of a rut. Like, I try to come up with topics and ideas for us to talk about, but then I feel like we don't really, get into much.
I've mainly been I've been on Pinterest recently. I've been finding a bunch of recipes.
Oh, really? You begin your wife to make them?
No, I've been making them for her.
What's that thumping sound in the background?
It's like me hitting my leg against my desk.
Oh, okay. Alright, well...
I've, one of the recipes I've been making was this dessert. It's like a honey lemon jelly thing. It's delicious.
I want to move your mic up a little bit. People might find the desk knocking a little annoying. Are you okay?
Well, no, I had some ice cream last night and I feel a little congested.
Oh, you breathing hard or hardly breathing?
I can breathe just fine. It's just I got some crap in my throat.
What are you, lactose intolerant or something?
My mother was.
You know what? You want to know what would be fucking hilarious? A cow that's lactose intolerant. Like they're allergic to their own body.
Oh, God.
Funniest fucking
Actually,
shit ever.
Wouldn't that be just the same as the people who are allergic to water?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Then again, every living creature does need some form of water. Like, I'm over here drinking a fuck ton of soda. Too much goddamn soda. At least that's what my mom says.
Mm-hmm.
I know for a goddamn fact that when we finally get to leave the fucking Citadel, we are, my wife is going to be feeding me.
Is back.
Yeah, I was just telling the detective that when we're finally allowed to leave the Citadel, my wife is going to feed me until I'm as fat as a pig. Because if there is one thing I know about that woman, it's that she stress cooks a lot.
Uh-oh.
What now? What's happening?
Apparently the detective's wife needs him.
Knocking on the door.
Yeah. Yeah, she just she just wanted to call me, see how I was doing.
Yeah, that's nice.
Let's see if I'm gonna fry a couple of androids on the way out.
I mean, there aren't any in the Citadel exactly. We're just forced to stay in the damn Citadel because if we leave, then we'll be mistaken for an android.
Oh, great.
I mean, who the hell even built these fucking things? That's what I'm pissed off about. Who built the androids? And why did they just start showing up?
Probably some supervillain that I'm now gonna have to hunt down.
Ugh. Unfortunately, the superhero teams are dealing with it, which is another. That's another thing I kind of noticed. Let's not even just talk about the fucking superhero community or how we've affected society. Let's talk about how the superhero community has changed for a bit. Why the fuck does everyone respect teams more than they do individual heroes now?
You can kind of blame me for that. I invented that idea.
No, you didn't.
Back in 1965, man.
No, you didn't.
The first superhero team was in 1974. They called themselves the Regional Defenders. Their whole gimmick was protecting a small town in I think it was Colorado. and they basically defended it from like a group of, I can't exactly remember who it was. I think it was like a small KKK group that would try and take down the town, since it was, you know, a place that was very like heavily protective of black individuals.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like that was the first superhero team. You did not invent the concept of superhero teams. You may be old, but you didn't invent everything, Grandpa.
Back in my day, I invented the bicycle seat. That's you.
Man, I thought my team was official.
Your team is official, but it's not the first superhero team.
I guess it was unofficial.
Okay, just because it's not the first doesn't make it unofficial. Like, you had a good superhero team. Everyone knows about your superhero team, okay? Jeez. Doesn't mean it's not official just because it wasn't the first.
I didn't exactly have, what was it, phones like we do now. Never really knew about the regional defenders.
I mean, they were regional. People didn't really know about them until people, you know, started spreading the newspapers from Colorado to the rest of the world. In fact, I think the New York Times was responsible for, you know, making the regional defenders popular, but I think that was when they had all retired at this point, and the KKK group they used to fight was, like, not only disbanded, but fucking destroyed. It's nice when evil gets absolutely destroyed. But like, why? But going back to the original topic, why the hell do people trust superhero teams more than individual heroes? That doesn't make much sense.
Yeah. I like to always blame superhero movies for this, and fictional concepts too, like the Justice League, the Avengers. And yet they seem to really like it.
I mean, sure, but that doesn't mean in real life superhero teams are inherently more effective than, you know, individual heroes. I mean, I think we're kind of equal. Like, if an individual hero can do the same that an entire team can, you should still give him a shot, you know? Ugh.
Yeah.
It's annoying.
Yeah. Thankfully, I can go invisible and sneak myself out.
Yeah, well, if you get caught, you're gonna get your ass kicked. Your magic is good, but I don't think it can go up against an entire team of other magic users.
You underestimate my craziness, my guy.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're not crazy. I'm just saying your power can sometimes, and, you know, not even sometimes, most of the time can and will get absolutely fucked over by other magical individuals. We know this for a fact.
Yeah, that is something I've learned.
Yeah, like, you act like just, like, you act like...
Because, unfortunately, yeah, I went to war a couple times.
Well, yeah, you're old. You had to have been to war a few times.
But, yeah, let's see. Yeah, I was around during the latter years of the American Civil War. I never fought the American Civil War. Yeah, I fought in the Spanish-American War. Yeah. I fought World War I, World War II. I went to Korea. Almost did not go to Vietnam. But I did not go. Let's see. What other wars were there? I am so old. The Gulf War. No, I did not go there. Let's see, the War on Terror. No, did not do that. Yeah, I would have retired from vigilante. I would have retired from that kind of heroing by then.
Okay, well, what does that exactly have to do with like what I just said about, you know?
He's trying to self-aggrandize. He's not actually trying
absolutely
to answer your
nothing. Yeah, absolutely nothing. I got off topic.
Yeah, of course. Like, look, you might be crazy and you might be powerful, but you act like you're the only magical person that's killed gods.
Yeah. What the fuck's your problem, dude?
He's old.
Yeah. Yeah, I looked through the records. The higher ups at the time even told me that I was the only one crazy enough to kill gods.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, that's not entirely true.
Yeah, so hopefully this next generation of magic users will be god killer ready.
I mean, technically, they already are. Have you seen like some of the new magical heroes? Like a lot of them are going.
Yeah,
Like,
I have. Yeah, I have. Yeah, they are pretty good. Yeah, one of my students.
Yeah, I'm starting to realize that I'm not actually a part of this whole thing anymore.
Yeah, sorry, man. We sorry about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of my students.
Fuck's sake, dude.
Detective, all you
Dude,
do
you've
is
been having your fucking
yes.
turn to talk. Let me say something.
I'll talk about one of my students later then.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, we kind of have been talking too goddamn much.
Yeah. So, like, before we got locked in here, I was out on patrol. And I'm not sure if this kid's actually going to try to sign up for anything, but there was this kid in an alleyway trying to practice magic.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he was like, I don't know, like continuing to start or the process over and over again. Apparently, caused like some oil that was on the ground to like catch fire.
Me?
That was not fun to clean up. Yeah, that was not fun to clean up.
Oh yeah.
But we got that kid to the hospital. They're okay now, as far as I know.
Yeah, that's nice. But like, how powerful was the kid? Like, exactly?
Yeah.
I don't really know. Like I got in there before they could do any more damage.
Yeah. I feel like we're kind of losing topic here, to be honest, because like I was trying to explain how powerful this next generation of magical users are, and again, I appreciate the story about seeing new magical users, because there are a fuck ton of them now. Like, everyone wants to learn magic, but a part of me is kind of scared that a lot of these kids aren't learning magic for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Like, Detective, wasn't there a case recently that you had to solve that was basically a magical individual kind of just abusing their magic for shitty gain?
Yeah, he tried. Yeah, it's like actually, that wasn't just the case that I was on. There's a couple people on it, but basically, like, there's this island that just appeared out of the middle of nowhere, and it turns out this guy used like wish granting magic in order to make himself the king of this place.
How'd you take him down?
We struck a deal with him. We were going to get him a date with Scarlett Johansson, which was like the one thing his magic couldn't do was affect how people think.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, it was one of our guys dressed in drag, and he just like and his stage name happened to be Scarlett Johansson. And so we got him close enough that he realized what was going on, but by then he was already getting punched in the face. And we just started kicking him while he was down.
Damn.
And then he asked why we were doing this. You know what I literally said? Like, I was so fucking drunk at the time.
What did you say?
I said, because we're Sonic heroes. It was so funny.
That's the best thing you could do. When going up against a magic user, you just got get him before you can do anything.
Yeah.
All right, so one of my students, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I swear this kid's a quick learner. He was able to decipher ancient language in like 2 seconds.
Hmm. Did he use magic to do that, or was he just big brained?
I'm pretty sure it's a case of yes.
So both.
He's both smart and can use magic.
Hmm.
Because it made it
Yeah.
abundantly clear, like, you don't have to be super smart in order to use magic. I mean, Dr. Rain's right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although, to be honest, I think I've had my fair scuffle with some magical motherfuckers, too, because I haven't really had to deal with, like... Because, like, the whole reason I even asked or even brought up the idea of magical users using their magic more selfishly is because you've made it very... Like, Dr. Rain, you've told me that there are a bunch of rules of magic, or, like, the societies of magic have had to follow for literal centuries, and the reasons they follow these rules is because they want to try and keep the world at large in some semblance of order, even if that means leading to people getting hurt. And here's something I've kind of wondered. Is it inherently selfish to want to use your magic to fundamentally change the world for the better? Because I recently had to stop a kid who was literally trying to use magic to basically flood a bunch of the deserts so that many African like villages could have clean drinking water. And I had to Yeah, it doesn't sound too bad, but the reason I had to stop him was because if he did that, it would have fucked up the local ecosystem and all the plants would have died. So I literally had to freeze the water as he was summoning it, let it basically, melt, then evaporate, and I had to freeze him in a block of ice for 30 minutes because, that's all the time because apparently that's all the air I was able to encapsulate in the ice. And explain to him, in the span of 30 minutes, why he couldn't do what he was doing. And it led to me thinking, is it really so bad if somebody uses magic to cure cancer?
Nah.
Dude, he wasn't asking you.
No, but it's like that's just a moral question.
Okay.
Yes and no. There are types of cancers that not even magic can do.
Yeah, you get them from fucking aliens.
Space cancer.
Space cancer and space AIDS. Like, we don't even know what they're actually called. We just call them space cancer and space AIDS.
That guy, that magic user you just mentioned. I like to call him. I like to call that person a bleeding heart.
Really?
Somebody really, really heartbroken about the state of the world. It's something that magic users go through from time to time. A lot of the time, they just get really mad at the world, and then start changing things for the better out of anger. It's actually something I've had to deal with once back in, I believe 93.
In 93. Which 93? 18 or 19?
1893. This was way before superheroes were even a thing. This is like the 18. This would have been pre-Wild West times. I would have been like 28 at the time. The Wild West, the Wild West didn't really last very long, about 30 years. I grew up during the Wild West age, and I wasn't even aware that magic users go through this phase until I met that specific magic user. I swear, he's like Dutch Vanderlyn. He had a vision. He wanted to make it happen, but the thing was, he did it out of anger.
Yeah, but is that inherently bad? Like, if you do a good thing out of anger, does that somehow make it less of a good thing?
If you're doing it out of anger, you're not doing it for the right reason.
Well, sure, but it's still a good thing, you know?
Yeah, sure. But even good things have consequences.
Yeah.
And then another thing I should also tell you: when you're going through this phase, you're basically uncontrollable. And unfortunately, that guy was the first magic user I had to kill.
What exactly was he trying to do?
I can't remember exactly, but all he did was just talk very loudly, very angrily.
Detective, you
Yeah.
have access to the Celestial Citadel records. How far back do those records go exactly?
Let's see.
Hopefully, you have something before the citadel was established.
Shut up.
Well, yeah, but we're able to get records and testimony from heroes from, well, and like ideas of heroes for a long time. The Celestial is part technology, part magic. You should know that since you helped build
First
it.
record. First record comes from 1935.
Ah, okay, so we can't. Okay, because I was gonna ask if there were any records of like the villain that Dr. Rain was talking about.
Yeah, it was sad too. That guy had a great vision, but how he wanted to execute it was just not good. It was world-ending scenario.
You know, I think I just
Yeah,
realized.
he wanted to purify the world, great flood style.
Yeah. You know, I think I just realized exactly like what the biggest effect superheroes have had on our society: bleeding hearts. I mean, think about it. Aren't at least like a good like 45 to 50% of supervillains we fight are villains who think they're doing the right thing?
I guess I could kind of say that they want to do the right thing, but how they want to do the right thing.
You know, like Detective, there's
was just,
like Detective,
worst case scenario, Thanos.
like Detective. I'm sure you've had to deal with some type of supervillains who, like, for all intents and purposes, haven't there been like some villains or some cases where the main culprit is just someone who thought they were doing something good?
Surprisingly common.
Yeah, like come on, give us a story. I got my blanket, I got my glass of warm milk. Come on, give me a bedtime story. I want to know what's like a mystery of like, give me a mystery of some people who were trying to do the right thing but fucked up royally.
Hold on a second, I'm gonna grab a beer. Yes, I keep beers on my desk. Thankfully, I have a pocket dimension I can go in. Really handy. All right, so detective, tell us a story. Once upon a time, there was this
Can you
motherfucker.
guys be quiet? Yeah. A long time ago, there's this guy named Colm. He was an asshole. He thought he was smarter than a bunch of people. Man would not read any theory. He would not learn any history. He just took his own experience and left it at that. And turns out he wasn't even getting the worst of it. But he still decided that he wanted to destroy the whole world because it was oh so mean to him. Yeah. So my dad went and kicked his ass.
Okay.
And what I learned from this story is that, like, even when like you can justify doing something awful in the hopes that it'll get like some immediate change, there's always going to be somebody who refuses to actually, learn the state of the world.
I could tell you, at my age, having seen everything at least 6 times.
Oh yes, you've seen everything 6 times.
People like that. People like that. Yeah, they're just bad individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, look, I think okay. I get you're old and all, but I don't think you've seen everything 6 times.
You need to stop that, man.
Yeah, like I get it, you're old, but like, You haven't seen everything, Grandpa.
Pretty hard.
Alright. Well, I guess we're gonna call it for this episode. First episode back in a while. We're gonna keep it pretty short. It's only been 45 minutes. Get y'all eased back into everything. And hopefully in the next episode, me and Dr. Rain don't spend too much time just, you know, talking about old band stories.
Yeah, yapping and leaving me in the fucking corner.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, man.
I feel like
Seriously.
I feel like talking to Dr. Rain kind of reminds me of when I was like talking to my granddad, because he would basically go on and on and on about these old ass stories, and I don't know. I found some kind of comfort in, you know, listening to another old person talk. Yeah.
I used to be with